You're listening to the Be Better Off Show by Kelly+Partners.
Welcome to the Be Better Off Show, where we get amazing Australians who can help us with information to make us healthier, wealthier, wiser. And this morning we've got Nathan Chen, the founder of Foundr. Good morning, Nathan.
Hey, Brett. How you doing, mate? Good morning to you from Sydney.
I'm doing great. You're in Melbourne. I'm in Sydney. The Borders last night, to give everyone some historical context. Dan Andrews has finally decided that we don't need to build a wall, and he'll pull his wall down and he'll let the Mexicans, that's us, in New South Wales, back into Victoria. So that's good news.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, we'll have to catch up. We'll have to, get you on the Foundr podcast in person.
We'll have to get down there and say good day, which would be nice. It'd be nice to be able to travel around our country again freely. And hopefully we're at the back end of this drama. Now, I have a rule. I try to get through the whole podcast without talking about the coronavirus. So I'll try and follow that rule. But let's start at the beginning. Beginning's a good place to start. Where'd you grow up? Family members? And what sort of did you do post school? And sort of how did you end up doing what you're doing?
Yeah, so I grew up in the outer suburbs of Melbourne in a small suburb called Greensborough. I went to a public high school. Didn't get the best university score. My enter score was around 62. I remember when I got my results, me and my parents, we were scrambling because we're like, what are you going to do? You're not going to really get into much. And my dad pulled out all the different, courses or universities that I could go to. And he found this one that sounded like a good fit for me, which was one that mixed like business and IT. It was called Business Information Systems. So my dad he used to teach computing at a TAFE college, and my mum was a nurse. So, average household income, great family. I have so much respect for my parents. So then, I went to university, did that degree, failed like 6 subjects, just absolutely shocking. And then, I did a gap year. Like I took some time off, and then I come back and I didn't fail a subject again. I finished that degree, and part of finishing it, I had to do a sandwich year where you have to like do an internship at an accounting firm, actually.
Okay.
Small accounting firm, and I was doing IT consulting or IT support for small clients, actually other accounting firms providing IT services. And that's really where I cut my teeth, Brett. Like I learned a lot. It was a shocking job. My first ever professional firm. I learned what not to do when it comes to, culture. But I learned a lot, really hard boss, pushed me super hard. I think it was getting paid about 30 grand a year. It was woeful. And I went and did this big Europe trip. So with one of my best friends at the time, who's now passed away, he and I really wanted to go to Europe. And so before I even got that accounting job, I said, guys, I got this big Europe trip planned. So after I finished, and I think I was like 23, I went around Europe and for a couple of months, and it was incredible. And I knew that I didn't want to come back. Like I had this realization that's like, this is not what I was born to do. Like I'm dreading going back. So what I did was I changed jobs. I spoke to this amazing lady. She helped me rebuild my resume. And I went back, did a master's of marketing, and she said, go and try and get a job in IT support at a big company so you can transition into marketing. So that's when I started working at Intrepid Travel, incredible company. Still, friends with one of the co-founders today. He's been an amazing mentor. And I ended up there and then was there for a couple of years, then started Foundr, and the rest is history.
So when you were at Intrepid, were you in IT and then moved over to marketing, or what was
I couldn't get into marketing. No one would give me a job. I went for 3 different jobs at Intrepid. Even when I started Foundr, I was taking the magazine showing like the head of marketing at Intrepid, and they wouldn't give me a crack. So in the end, I just went out and Foundr took off, and then the rest was history. But I started Foundr literally as a side hobby passion project to get a job in marketing because I was just so hungry to find work that I was passionate about.
So give us, just for our audience, how did you come up with the idea of Foundr? What inspired you? What was the thinking? Yeah,
so honestly, at the time, I was going to start a horse racing magazine because one of my best mates that I was living with, my housemate at the time as well, he's now a well-known horse racing journalist. He's on racing.com every day. And I got into online marketing. So I started doing, learning about how to do affiliate marketing, online marketing. And I was following this guy called Ed Dale, and he talked about this software that he was launching that would allow you to create your own digital magazine. And I thought, what a fantastic idea. And this is 8 years ago, right? So at the time, iPads were bigger than they were, the phone, digital magazines, I thought it was a really cool idea. And then so I was going to start a horse racing magazine, but my friend Ben, he got a job. We're going to do it together. And he got a job. And they
So
said, he was freelancing. He got a job and they said he couldn't do any side hustles. So then I was like, oh, well, I'll just do it myself. And I thought, I'm really interested in business and entrepreneurship. I love listening to podcasts. I know a lot of people want to know about entrepreneurship. Why don't I just create this magazine for fun? Didn't think it would go anywhere. Try and get a job, use this, because when I couldn't get a marketing job anywhere. And I remember speaking to this one guy and I said, why won't you hire me? He said, I'd love, because you don't have any experience. And I said, what would I do? And he said, I think a great idea would for you to be creating something to show your marketing skills or to show how hungry you are. Yeah. So I created this magazine, was just interested about entrepreneurship and business. And I knew that there was an area for how to, really in depth, how to, really showcasing how these people are doing it. And that was the early stage premise of Foundr. Obviously, the vision has grown much bigger and larger to what it is now. But honestly, Brett, it was, how can I get a job in marketing? How can I find work that I'm passionate about? Because life is too short. And that's how it started.
So there's a great combination of things there. If somebody's paying you $30,000 a year, it's an easy time to replace that money. You don't need to do too well to do well, which is helpful. But also, learning from people that know what they're doing and going in depth to try and work out what it is that they've done, I think is an intelligent way of going about things. What was the initial, as you put this together and you go and you show people who you want to actually get a job from, your magazine and what you're doing, what was the reaction and how does that look now in hindsight?
Well, look, people were impressed. They were like, oh, this is really cool. I went for a couple of job interviews. I went for a job interview at Aesop, the skincare kind of stuff. And they were impressed. They thought, yeah, this is really impressive. I remember I went for multiple jobs internally at Intrepid and they were impressed. But for whatever reason, maybe they thought then because I had the magazine, I wasn't going to last. I know some companies don't like individuals that are doing a side hustle, perhaps. They're not focused, right? Maybe that was my deterrent then. But yeah, look, in retrospect, everyone was doing me a favor, Brett, because I really just fell in love with this thing. And I realized then and there that this is what I was born to do. I was born to build businesses, and it's just been so much fun since.
So you have that experience, you try and get the job. When do you realize, okay, this is a business, and what did you conceive? Was it just publish the magazine, or maybe share with our listeners what Foundr does today, what it did then? What's been that journey in terms of business model? Yeah,
so started off as just a digital magazine on the App Store and Google Play Store. First day we launched, March 5th, 2013, made $5.50 and had 2 subscribers. By the time it got a couple months in, we're making a few $100 a month. And most people would give up then and there. You have 100 subscribers, done. I'm done. Only a few $100. But for me, I just kept publishing the magazine every month because I'm the kind of person, if someone's paying for something, I don't want to let them down, and they were paying for a monthly subscription. So I just kept putting it out, and it took me about a year to build up to replace my income. And my income at the time when I went to Intrepid was about 50 grand.
Yeah.
And it took me, to replace my income and have some savings money in the bank. I had a 6-month egg nest to go full time, and if whatever happens, happens. And so I left Intrepid late 2014, and the magazine was still being published up until late 2014. And then I started to really build out the media property of the company. So the business model today is we're kind of a 2-part business. We have our media property, where we produce a lot of free content. Like 99.9% of our content is free across audio, video, and written. And we pump out heaps of content, all sorts of things. And we're really trying to democratize entrepreneurial education. Then we're trying to take things further, where we're building a next level online course platform or school. So we're trying to build a leading online business school where the people that are actually that we're interviewing, the caliber of people, we're getting to teach all sorts of things that they know. And we want to build one of the largest online business schools in the world. So that's kind of where we are now. So really our whole mission and what we're trying to do with the brand is to really share these experiences, these hard lessons learned through some of the greatest entrepreneurs of our generation, and publish them through our platform. And that could be in the form of audio, video, written online course. So that is kind of where the brand is at today.
And how many subscribers? So for our listeners, how many subscribers, how many courses, what's how do you think about and measure the impact today?
Yeah. So look, we have millions of people consuming our content every single week. The magazine, we're actually going to shift the model with the magazine, because what has happened is, as time has went on in terms of growing the business itself, a big part of the business is the online education platform. So the magazine, more than anything, is just a really great brand builder and storyteller. And we haven't focused on growing the magazine like we should. So we're actually going to shift the model a bit. We're most likely going to make it free. And then, all of our content.
The digital magazine?
Yep. Digital magazine, we're going to make it free. And so millions of people consuming our content every single week across all the different platforms. And then in regards to courses, we have around 25 in our platform.
Great. And what have you found is the best or most, the couple of courses that people are most interested in?
I think there's something really hot around how to start an e-commerce business. We've found that to be something that people are really, really interested in. We've found also social media to be a big one as well. Things like growing your Instagram following, building out your YouTube channel, using Facebook ads, YouTube ads, so any paid advertising. Those kinds of courses, we find to be, social media and e-commerce, anything e-commerce related, we've found have been very, very lot of interest.
So now, having done years now of publishing the magazine, what do you think are the big lessons from founders that keep resonating in your mind?
Oh, there's heaps, Brett. You know this, right? You speak to really smart people, you publish books, you publish insights too. You know the strategy, right? You get to learn for free. It's incredible. Look, I think definitely persistency, being persistent. These people are extremely disciplined and they're just super persistent. I think there's that hunger there as well. Not enough people talk about it, but if you want something bad enough, these people just don't give up. They just keep going. And, I think another thing that's really important is these people are really, they know how to surround themselves with great people. Interpersonal skills are critical, yes, but you don't have to have the best interpersonal skills as long as you can have mentors, advisors, really smart execs, people or early stage team, really smart people around you. That is critical. No one is doing it alone, and they the every single founder has somewhat of a skill to identify talent, whether that's hiring talent, whether that's finding advisors to help you. Like, you can't do it alone. Like, that's critical. Then another thing is they're obsessive learners. I think every single like super successful founder, they just love to learn, and they're just like rabid, whether it's learning from people, reading books. They're just always that thirst for knowledge, that thirst for improvement. I could keep going, but like those are some key things that I've noticed in terms of traits. Surrounding yourself with great people, like I think that's critical. And by being able to identify those people, then, just never giving up, just that insane hunger and relentless discipline. And then also thirst for knowledge and just, want an insane curiosity and wanting to learn.
So who do you think, Nathan, are the, in terms of personalities, people that you've interviewed or met, who are the ones that you've personally found most inspiring?
Is hard because I've done so many, Brett. Like, we're up to like almost episode 400 or something with the Founder podcast, right? And it becomes like, this might sound crazy, but it becomes a huge blur for me.
Yeah. But who stands out? Like in that blur, I guess that's a good context. Like in the blur of because there's I think Tim Ferriss's first book, 4 Hour Workweek, he talks about, going on a low information diet, cutting back the amount of input because people, I've seen numerous times, just get into this state of overwhelm. But so in that 400 podcast, are there people that are unforgettable that just stand out because they break through the blur?
Yeah, look, there are tons. Let me think. I always find this one tricky, to be honest.
Yeah, I get asked. Like, I've interviewed hundreds of people, and people go, "Oh, so who's the one person?" I'm like, "Well, they're all interesting for their own reasons." Yeah, but some people, I guess, have an energy that's hard to forget.
Yeah, look, I'll tell you one person. So there was this guy, and he founded a company called Omaze. His name's Matt Paulson. So Omaze is they're like a fundraising company, and they do like fundraising events, and they partner with charities, and they work with celebrities, and they have these crazy experiences. So Matt Paulson, he almost like he died, like he had something terrible happen to him, and he died, and then he kind of came back to life, and his story was just insane. And like, I think when you have something that is so life-changing happen to you, it really puts things into perspective. And I really kind of love the way that he's thinking about growing his business. And yeah, he just has an incredible story. That one was amazing. I really, really, really enjoyed that.
That's great. I'll look that up. That's very, very cool. So what's the future, with the things that you've learned and the vision that you've got for the business? How would you know if you've sort of lived out your mission, fulfilled what you're trying to achieve?
Well, for us, we need to, first of all, build a larger brand that's helping more people, like tens of millions of people every single week with our content, consuming our content, engaging our content. We want to have millions of students, not tens of thousands of students in our, online course platform. And I think, the brand has the way that I see it is the brand has so much to be done. Where I'm only kind of scratching the surface. I'm just starting to really build out like a proven, experienced exec team, which we talked about. So they're all starting end of this year. So there's a lot to be done. But I think, building a platform that is well known in the marketplace. I don't think we're there yet. I think we're just kind of scratching the surface. Really kind of building a product and platform that helps a lot of people at scale. And we're just not there yet. But that's how I know. When we can really say that we're a leader in this space, like a true leader, we are not there yet.
So who do you see in your space as leading?
So in regards to the media side, it would be, the Forbes, the Entrepreneur, the Fast Company, the Inc. And they have hundreds of staff. We have a small team of 50 plus. And then in the online course platform space, I think Masterclass are doing an incredible job, but they're not focused. They're not like focused. We're niche. We're just focused on the one online business school. There isn't a brand out there that has that same. Well, there are a couple, but they're not going where we're going. That has that same vision to us building the largest online school. The only one I would think of right now would be like HBR, Harvard Business Review. They've moved all their stuff online, right? And they have hundreds of thousands of students enrolling in their MBA every year. But you look at Udemy, you look at Skillshare. These are well-known large online course platforms. We're just not there yet. We need hundreds of courses in our platform. Yeah.
So the gap between where you are and where you're going to be, is it people? Is it time? Is it both? How long do you think it takes, in your mind to get to, the next step? Because obviously, I never think the journey's finished, right? So.
Yeah. So look, I've been building Foundr for about 7 years now. I would say that it's going to take me at least another 3 to 5. So probably by that stage, we'll get close to 10 to 12 years to be able to realize that vision. So it's people and time. Also, we are fully bootstrapped. We haven't raised any outside capital. Maybe over time, my beliefs there might change to accelerate that vision. I definitely believe that we could certainly accelerate it if we raise capital. That's something that, I don't know, I have a bit of an aversion to, if I'm being 100% honest with you. But there might be a really good pathway there, perhaps. So, for us though, that's that. I think it's time, people, and whether we grow sustainably and controllably, or we raise a ton of money and try and put some gasoline on the fire. That's kind of a difference with the time piece as well.
Yeah, totally. The thing that you find most challenging today versus when you started, and has the business got easier to run?
I think the thing that I find most challenging right now is I was very, very good at building an incredible culture and taking people on the journey. So up until this year, no one left. I had never had any turnover, but the Great Resignation has been tough, and the complexity of the business has elevated significantly over the past 12, 24 months. And so, that I think it's people, and I'm solving that. I've had quite a few people leave Foundr that have gone on to, their new chapters, and they've been incredible to help us get this far. But I think, the biggest challenge this year has been people and just finding, just experienced leaders. Now we've got experience. We're bringing in really experienced leadership to help us go to that next level. And then the other piece of the puzzle would be, I guess, another challenge would be acquisition. We are very, very good at paid acquisition. That's been harder this year because of all the changes with, Facebook ads, privacy, all those kinds of things. So, that's been a challenge. But instead of just selling a la carte with our courses, and of course the magazine's a subscription, so we have a small base of recurring, we're going to introduce an all access pass to start to build out the subscription and membership offering. So that will come early next year, which I think is going to be a pretty big game changer.
So if you said to your sort of 25-year-old self when you started, or 26-year-old self, this is the one thing you're really going to need to know up front after all your experience now, what is the thing that you would have most wanted to know or most have had that you didn't have or didn't know you needed?
Probably to not work so hard to please others. I think I've learned a lot of hard lessons around leadership, around kind of just holding people to account, I think that's something that's still an area of development for me. As a leader, sometimes you just have to have hard conversations and, you have to hold people accountable. And you have to, like, I'm a big fan of servant-based leadership. But yeah, I think, if I hadn't have been so keen to please, I probably would have got there much faster.
Yeah, it's a very interesting one. I was having a chat yesterday, Nathan, and there's a great Harvard professor, Jay Lorsch, who's written this article about the 7 biggest corporate turnovers in US corporate history. And he said that when he interviewed those CEOs, it wasn't culture that saved those companies, it was performance. And that this is the guy, Jay Lorsch, who invented the term corporate culture. He's an 85-year-old professor at Harvard. Mm-hmm. And he said that, when a company is dying or in Chapter 11, it has to be fixed. And by fixing the foundational systems and performances of that business, that's what saves the business. And that actually forms the culture. And so I have seen it, often in, a lot of leaders think that building a great culture is to get everyone to love you. But people typically love performing well because that's something that you give them for themselves, the satisfaction of doing something very well. But that's hard because you've got to have the hard conversation to say, listen, I know you can do better. You have to do better. We want to be world-class. And you can have a beer with me after you're world-class. Whereas I do see a lot of younger entrepreneurs, I think often it's part of the entrepreneur character to want to be liked. And so they're trying to build a culture that's nice and fluffy and where everyone likes each other. But ultimately, if you don't perform, no one likes losing. So, people like winning more than they like losing. So that's a really interesting one. I was having literally the convo yesterday in terms of, accountability is hard. Asking people to hold themselves accountable is hard, so that, you've got to have few conversations because they're conversations really they should have with themselves. But yeah, it's a very interesting area around, how do you build out your culture? Well, high performance, which comes from people deeply internally accountable to themselves and their own standards. So I think it's an area of real interest of mine. How do you find those people that are self-motivated, self-disciplined, have high standards, and bring them to your organization so that they're really people holding themselves to account, so that you don't feel like you have to.
Yeah. So look, I want to be as honest with you as possible. I think just, I'm not saying, right, that like everyone in business has hired the wrong people, right? They're not the right people, right? And I'm not saying that I hired a shit ton of wrong people, right? I have hired some wrong people and move them on, right? But yeah, look, I think there's just certain stages, right? There's certain people for certain stages, and I think, I've been doing this for a while, and Foundr could have grown much faster if I had have been able to identify that perhaps this person is great for this stage, but they probably aren't going to be that incredible leader that we need, and keep them as an individual contributor. But I tried to elevate, and so, and I think that's a common,
because you want the best for people. So often you want better for them than they want for themselves.
Yeah, that's right.
That was an early lesson I learned.
Yeah, so it's not that like these people haven't been incredible. They have to get us like to where we are and all these other things. But yeah, I just didn't identify that soon enough. So if I had the skills that I knew now, I would have been able to go, you know what? You are amazing at what you do. We're going to get someone else to support you now to build you up. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I put, but part of that was wanting to please, right? Wanting to play, so I think
that's interesting, Nathan. In 2011, 2012, I interviewed